Hello, and welcome to Erin on the Side of Caution. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly videos on the empty promises of the multi-level marketing and self-help industries. Today, I'm going to talk about an important topic: red flags and warning signs of toxic personal development groups. Now, it's really important to remember that not all personal development programs are bad. There are plenty of well-educated and well-meaning people who truly do want to help people live better lives and overcome obstacles. Unfortunately, there are also many people who create programs, retreats, and groups that have a negative impact on your life and your wallet. Today, I'm going to talk about red flags to look out for if you are trying to decide whether or not a program is toxic. Although these are focused on personal development, many of these also translate as red flags to look for in a variety of situations, such as work, relationships, and more. They require a decision on the spot. A very common thing that happens with these toxic self-help groups is that there will be some kind of an introduction into the program. So you'll be invited to a meeting, or you'll have a phone call or a virtual call or whatever it may be to introduce you to the potential program, the benefits, and things like that. When you're told about it, you're told that it's some kind of information session or somewhere that you're going to be able to ask questions and see more about the group. But then what happens is, after you get all of the information, they pressure you to join right then and there. Sometimes it's in person, sometimes it's over the phone, but it doesn't matter. They're saying you have to make a decision right now. And that's a huge red flag. There's no reason why anybody should force you to make a decision on the spot. The reason they do this is because they want you to feel uncomfortable. They want you to feel pressured. They want you to feel like you have to, or you don't want to disappoint them. It's important to remember that you have every right to take a deep breath, or to take a couple days or a week and think about it. You shouldn't have to make a decision right then and there. It's probably not a good idea to do that without kind of digesting it, doing your research and things of that nature. And that's exactly what they want. They don't want you to do any research. They don't want you to look into it, see anything negative that other people may have said, or find something out that kind of makes you feel like it might not be a great idea for you. So remember, you're not doing anything wrong by taking a little bit of time, doing your research, and then giving them your decision. And if you inform them of the fact that you won't be making a decision right there, that you are going to take some time, and they tell you that it's now or never. Like, if you don't make a decision now, you can't get into the group, or there will not be any other opportunity, then essentially what they're doing is handing you the gift of realizing that they are not the program for you. Because anyone that won't give you the time and energy to do your due diligence is not a good place that you want to be. They discourage consulting with others. Now, this can be friends, family, significant others, whatever it may be for you. A lot of these groups, whether it's in the decision-making process or throughout the entire program, will go out of their way to discourage either talking to other people about it, almost to the point of secrecy. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll almost kind of make it into this elitist thing where they're like, we're a special group, we don't tell other people about it because they won't understand, or something like that, which is really just a way to get you to kind of feel warm and fuzzy and special in an effort to keep the whole thing a secret. And in the decision-making process, they will especially discourage you from reaching out to friends, family, or significant others because they don't want you to be talked out of it. They claim to treat every issue. A common theme with these types of groups is that they claim that their methods and tactics can fix every problem, from simply needing a little bit of a confidence boost all the way up to things like serious abuse and PTSD. If you're looking into a program and they're lumping all of these things together and saying that everyone is going to be engaging in the same types of exercises or the same types of methods, but that those methods are going to fix each person's individual issue, even though they're so wildly different, that's a big warning sign. This idea of one size fits all for whatever problem you're going through is potentially very harmful and dangerous. Like in many situations, it's especially important to make sure that you ask questions when you're learning more about any program or organization, to find out whether or not this group specializes in specifically what it is that you're going through, or if it's a more broad catch-all program that claims that they can solve any issue with just a few different methods. They promise to be a quick fix. Believe me, I completely understand wanting to get through whatever you're going through as quickly as possible. I've been there myself, and I know that when things are bad, when you're going through a lot, you just want it to be over. You just want it to be done, and you want to move on with your life. But what they do is they promise a 5-week program or a 3-month program or an intensive weekend retreat. Many times these programs that claim to be a quick fix will draw you in with these claims, and then you'll join the group or you'll go on the retreat or whatever it may be, and then at the end of it they'll have another program you can join or something else you need to buy or other materials, books, tapes, or DVDs, even though they told you that it would all be over in a weekend or a couple of weeks or whatever they're promising you. This is just a tactic that they use to get you in so they can keep selling you more and more and more, and they're never really actually concerned with fixing you in the first place. They're excessively expensive. Be wary of programs that are charging a fee that seems really extreme for what you're actually getting for the program. Even for a quality, healthy group, sometimes the money that they're charging, even if it's reasonable, may be outside of our budget, and it's important to remember that a good, healthy group will never pressure you to spend money on something that you can't afford. Many of these toxic groups, even if they know that you can't afford the program, they will encourage you to do things like take out loans, borrow money from a friend, pick up another job, or try to finance it over a really long period of time. Pretty much anything to get you to join. Whereas a really good quality group would never do that to you. They would understand that it's not within your budget, and they would either try to work with you or find a program that you can afford or other free resources, or they would just simply understand that it's not something you can afford at that time and not pressure you about it. Lack of credentials. This is a major problem and major warning sign of a toxic self-help group. Many of these leaders or gurus have no formal training in the actual areas that they're claiming to be able to help people with. They don't have any education in things like social work, psychology, counseling, mental illness, or things of that nature. They have their one toolbox that they use, again, to apply to all different issues like we talked about before. Make sure that regardless of who it is, you look into the person's credentials, their education, where they went to school, what kind of certifications they have, and feel free to ask them more questions about it. If somebody is defensive or they don't want to answer any questions about where they went to school, or they say things like it doesn't matter because, they have their own personal experiences that they've learned from. Personal experiences are valuable, but they're not credentials. They're not a reason why somebody should be trusted to be able to apply real, true, proven methods to help someone get better. Anyone who has a good quality specialized education in what you're going through, they will welcome the fact that you are interested about those types of things and doing your homework to make sure that they are the right fit. Too much focus on the leader. With a healthy, well-adjusted group, the focus should be on you or on the people in the group who are there to support each other, share stories, or learn lessons from the leader or the leaders of the group that will hopefully help them to, move on and overcome obstacles in their life. But in toxic self-help groups, a lot of times you have these very controlling or manipulative leaders and gurus who are very narcissistic, and they're much more concerned with how much everyone else is almost borderline worshiping them and all of the things that they say. So be wary of any of these groups that have members that are overly reverent or obsessed or hanging on every word of the teacher as if they can't think for themselves, and there just is almost this cult-like vibe where this figure of the group, this leader of the group, is where all the attention is going, and essentially everyone is like fawning over them and talking about how amazing they are and they can never say or do anything wrong. That's a pretty big red flag. They discourage questions or disagreements. A lot of these toxic groups, they have one way of doing things or one method that is supposed to be the main way that cures or fixes people with whatever they're going through. And so a lot of times they discourage the participants from critical thinking, things like asking questions or being open-minded or suggesting another way of doing something. If you find yourself in a situation where you're being punished or discouraged from asking questions or making suggestions or suggesting that their way might not be the best way, especially when it comes to saying that it's not something that will work for you, that's a warning sign. Because you know yourself, you know the things that feel right and don't feel right. If you feel that something isn't working for you and you speak up and you want to try something else, that should be fine. That should be no problem. There's many different ways to deal with these types of issues. If they turn back around to you and say that there isn't another way, or stop asking questions, or you're just not trying hard enough or something like that, then that is an indication that it might not be a good, healthy group for you. Thanks for joining me this week as I talked about warning signs and red flags of toxic self-help groups. If you have any you'd like to hear more about or that I missed, feel free to put them in the comments. I'd love to see them, and I hope to see you next week. Thanks for joining me on the side of caution.